Stop putting that blue jar back in the medicine cabinet after you rub it on your chest. You're missing the most powerful hack for a restful night's sleep, and it has nothing to do with your lungs. For decades, we've been told that if you've got a nagging cough or a stuffy nose, you slather some menthol on your sternum and call it a day. But if you walk into any high-end senior living community at 9 p.m., you'll find a secret ritual happening that sounds absolutely nuts to the uninitiated. They aren't putting it on their chests. They're putting it on the soles of their feet and pulling on a pair of thick wool socks. I've spent over 15 years helping folks navigate the complexities of aging and holistic health. I've seen the trends come and go. I've seen the miracle cures that turn out to be nothing more than expensive snake oil. But this Vicks on the feet phenomenon is one of those rare cases where the anecdotal evidence is so overwhelming. It forced the medical community to actually stop and pay attention. You might be thinking, Porter, there's no physical connection between my big toe and my bronchial tubes. This has to be a placebo. I get it. I was a skeptic too. I used to laugh when my patients told me they swore by it. But then I started looking at the neuropathic pathways and how our bodies actually signal distress to the brain. What if I told you that the way your brain processes cold signals on your skin is the secret key to shutting down a midnight coughing fit? Here's where it gets wild. Most people assume the vapors just travel up through the sheets to your nose. That's not how it works. Not even close. If that were the case, you'd just put a dab under your nostrils and be done with it. If you're tired of waking up at 3 a.m. hacking, or if you've got that restless feeling in your legs that makes a good night's sleep feel like a distant memory, you need to understand the mechanics of what's actually happening under those socks. Because once you see the biological reality, you'll never look at that little blue jar the same way again. I know it sounds like an old wives' tale, but stick with me here. We are going to peel back the layers on why this specific application affects your nervous system in a way that chest application simply can't match. Before we break down the chemistry of why this works, do me a quick favor. If you're the kind of person who values these old-school secrets that actually have some meat on the bone, hit that subscribe button. We're building a community here at Smart Senior Secrets that's all about aging with an edge, and I don't want you to miss the next piece of this puzzle. Now, you're probably asking yourself, if it's not the vapors reaching my nose, then what is it? The answer lies in a specific set of sensory nerves in your feet that are directly hardwired to your brain's cough center. The magic isn't in the grease. It's in the sensory overload. To understand why your feet are the gateway to a better night's sleep, we have to talk about something called the reflexology connection, but not in the way you might think. You see, the soles of your feet are some of the most sensitive real estate on your entire body. They are packed with thousands of nerve endings and a high density of something called TRPM8 receptors. These are the specific sensors in your skin that detect cold. When you slather on that thick layer of Vicks, the menthol triggers these receptors immediately. Your brain receives a massive cooling signal. Now, here is the secret. Your brain's cough center and its sensory processing hub are incredibly busy places. By flooding the nerves in your feet with this cooling sensation, you are essentially creating a sensory distraction for your nervous system. It's a biological picket fence for your cough reflex. But it gets even deeper. Many of my clients in their 60s and 70s aren't just using this for a cough. They're using it to combat nocturnal leg cramps and that maddening, buzzing sensation known as restless leg syndrome. Here's the science. The camphor in the ointment acts as a mild analgesic and rubefacient. That's a fancy way of saying it stimulates blood flow to the surface of the skin. By applying it to the feet and then trapping that heat with socks, you are creating a localized microclimate. This increases circulation in the very area where blood tends to pool or circulate poorly as we age. It's like a thermal reset for your lower extremities. I've had people tell me, Porter, I haven't slept through the night in 5 years because of my legs. But once I started the Vicks and socks routine, the twitching just stopped. Now, you might be thinking, can I just use a heating pad? Actually, no. A heating pad provides external heat, but it doesn't engage the chemical receptors. Menthol and camphor trick the body into an internal response. It's the difference between standing near a fire and actually turning up your body's own thermostat. But here's the kicker, and where most people mess this up. There is a golden window for when you should apply this. If you do it too early, the effect wears off before you hit your deep sleep cycle. If you do it too late, you're too agitated to benefit. And we need to address the elephant in the room, the socks factor. Why are the socks non-negotiable? It's not just about keeping your sheets clean, though your spouse will certainly appreciate that. The socks serve a clinical purpose. They create an occlusion, forcing the essential oils to penetrate the thick skin of the soles rather than evaporating into the air. Without the socks, you're losing 70% of the potency to your ceiling fan. But wait, because there is a dark side to this that no one talks about. If you have certain underlying conditions, especially issues involving blood sugar or specific types of skin thinning, this harmless hack can actually cause more trouble than it's worth. I've seen folks end up with skin maceration or even mild chemical burns because they didn't know this safety protocol for senior skin. You need to know exactly who should never try this, and the one specific ingredient you need to look for on the label to make sure you aren't using a generic version that's missing the active magic. Now, you might be asking, what if I hate the smell? Or, is there a way to get these results without the mess? Here's the truth. The smell is actually part of the therapy, but not for the reason you think. It involves the vagus nerve, the long superhighway of your nervous system that controls your heart rate and your rest and digest mode. When your brain associates that specific scent with the cooling sensation on your feet, it creates a Pavlovian response for sleep. Before you run to the bathroom to grab that jar, we need to talk about the safety red flags. Look, I'm all about life hacks, but as we get older, our skin isn't the same as it was in our 20s. It gets thinner, more delicate, and more prone to reactions. If you are living with diabetes, you need to listen closely. Neuropathy can dull the sensation in your feet, meaning you might not feel it if the menthol or camphor causes a skin irritation or a burning sensation. I've seen cases where folks left this on overnight and woke up with significant redness because they couldn't feel the warning signs. Always, and I mean always, do a small patch test on your ankle before you go full throttle on the soles. And here's another industry secret your pharmacist might not mention. Check your label for petrolatum. While it's the base of the original formula, some all-natural knockoffs use waxes that don't occlude the skin properly. If the ointment doesn't create that airtight seal, the camphor won't penetrate deep enough to hit those nerve endings we talked about. Now, let's get into the nightly foot protocol. If you want the result that shocks you, you can't just slap it on. Step 1. The warm reset. Don't apply Vicks to cold, dry feet. Use a warm washcloth or take a quick foot soak. This opens up the pores and hydrates the skin, making it much more permeable. Step 2. The zone application. Focus the ointment on the ball of the foot and the arch. This is where your nerve density is highest. You don't need a thick glob. A nickel-sized amount per foot is plenty. Massage it in for at least 30 seconds. That physical stimulation actually starts the distraction process for your nervous system. Step 3. The breathable barrier. This is the part everyone gets wrong. Do not use synthetic, thin dress socks. You need 100% cotton or high-quality wool. Synthetics trap moisture and can lead to fungal issues if you do this every night. Natural fibers allow for the thermal reset without turning your socks into a petri dish. Step 4. The vagus trigger. Once the socks are on, take 3 deep breaths. Your brain is already smelling the menthol, and your feet are starting to cool. By consciously breathing, you're telling your vagus nerve to flip the switch from alert to recovery. Now, you might be asking, how often should I do this? I tell my clients to use this as a reset tool. If you've had a week of bad sleep or you feel a tickle in your throat, do it for 3 nights in a row. It breaks the cycle of sleep anxiety, where you're actually worried about not falling asleep. The result truly is shocking because it's so simple. In a world of expensive prescriptions and high-tech sleep gadgets, sometimes the best solution is a 50-year-old jar of ointment and a pair of wool socks. It's about working with your biology, not against it. If you try this tonight, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment below and let me know if you felt that cooling wave or if your midnight cough finally took a hike. We're all learning from each other here.